Hello and welcome back to the Cricket Nerds. It is me and Benji today, and we're going to be talking about a really good game of cricket, which was England versus New Zealand. Now, we are both very happy with the result overall, because it means that England's World Cup hopes are still alive. However, it wasn't without its dramas, and I think there's actually quite a lot to unpack. I'd say in terms of quality of cricket games, it was way up there. So if you like cricket and you're a fan of us and of cricket and of breathing, then they're all good reasons to subscribe. So don't forget to subscribe and like, because we're doing World Cup fever. We're all over World Cup stuff. So yeah, don't forget to subscribe. It really helps us out.
Smash the like button. Keep watching the videos. Tell your friends. Tell your gran, tell your uncle, tell your dog, tell your cousin, tell all the people that you can to watch the Cricket Nerds, because it's the best place to come for all World Cup and all cricket content, because we just love cricket that much. Now let's unpack this game today, James. England versus New Zealand clearly is going to be the highlight that we're going to talk about. We're slightly biased by the fact that, we're both obviously England fans. But talk to me, James. The game had its ups and downs, but from the off, in the England innings, it looked like we were off to quite a good start.
Yes, we were. Butler and Hales, they didn't look too fluent at the start, and I wasn't sure if they were going to end up just getting that horrible amount of swing, because so far in Australia there's been a hell of a lot of swing in the power play. But it didn't look like there was a whole lot of swing on offer in the end. Butler was getting a bit tied down, and we were kind of doing okay, just the odd boundary, which was good. Definitely signs of aggression there, but overall it didn't look that easy. And Butler then got dropped by Kane Williamson, even though Kane claimed it, which that was a bit of drama. But then Hales just teed off, and that really alleviated a lot of pressure, and it made the sort of the opening partnership really valuable, because other than Hales kind of running down the wicket and getting stumped as soon as he got his 50, which was a shame, that opening partnership looked really good. So Hales, Butler just did Butler things. He was class, and it was a very good start from England. However, when Hales went out, there was a bit of tactical nuance going on in the England camp, and we've seen this happen before. Was it against Australia they did this before?
It happens a lot, yeah.
Where they decided not to play David Malan. Now, at the time, I understood why, because they were I think New Zealand were bowling both Ish Sodhi and Mitch Santner, which meant that it was a lot of spin, and notoriously David Malan hasn't been too great against spin. So I did understand the decision. However, it didn't really pay off. Moeen Ali played a pretty loose shot. So overall, I'd say Malan ended up hitting at the highest strike rate of the match, 300. So I just want to get your opinion. What do you think it was the right decision to hold Malan back? Because he came in at 8 in the end.
He came in at 8, and then he came in at 8, but he scored 3 runs off one ball. So we can't say that he came out and if he'd have hit a 4, he'd have had a 400 strike rate. And that can just have when you face one ball, you've not really got a large enough sample size for that. I think it was good. I think it was the right decision from England. We've seen how good Moeen is up the order for Chennai Super Kings, for Birmingham Phoenix. He does it regularly in franchise cricket. He has that ability, and I think it makes sense because from what I can see, David Malan has a defined role within the side. And everyone's got their defined role. And I think that's a really positive thing. Malan's role within the side is, if we lose a wicket early, you steady the ship, you bat till over 18, and then hit out. or you battle over 16 and then hit out. That is his job. And we've spoke about that because we spoke about it on the England-Australia podcast when we were talking about that series. And I quite like it. I like the fact that there are those defined roles. There is that tactical change. And today it paid off because England came out and they were able to get that higher strike rate. It meant that in this situation, Josh Butler was the one who was anchoring the innings. And then it allowed us to, like, Liam Livingstone came in at number 4. Like, when's the last time that he batted at number 4 for England? He hasn't. And then we bring out Brook, and like, Brook always bats 5. I think that's just his role. No matter when in the innings, he's number 5. You come out and you hit from ball 1. That's your role, Harry Brook. Same with Ben Stokes. And I think it just worked because you get the higher average career strike rate players in Moeen Ali, Livingston, Brook, Sam Curran even, to come out and just play their shots from ball 1. And it allows you to hold back someone like Milan, who is still a great ball striker and can hit at ball 1, but he's just not as good at hitting it from ball 1 as the rest of them. I actually think that if Butler and Hales weren't as good as they are at opening the innings, that Milan should open the innings with one or the other of them and play that role of come out and start. Similar to sort of a Babar Azam. It's like, what I like to think about is, would you rather have Zach open the innings and play his natural game and he can go and score a decent score because he can accelerate to, a grand old strike rate of 80? But would you want Zach to come in and try and hit from ball 1? No, because he'd score a runner ball or a less than runner ball 20. I think their tactic works in this format of the game where you can't waste. You want James to come out and smash it around from ball 1 and run hard, run the twos, try and hit big. So yeah, I'm a fan.
So I think there is definitely a bit of nuance with it. I think so. My main issue with it is, I completely agree that David Milan, if Hales wasn't there, and when Johnny Bairstow first got injured, my instinct was to open with Milan because he did really well for the Trent Rockets in the 100 opening, and just historically he's enjoyed opening and he's been really good. But my main issue with it is, fair enough to David Milan, but what's Stokes' defined role? Because he was meant to have this defined role, like Stokes is in at 4. That's what he's going to be. I don't really know what he's going to do, but he's meant to do something at number 3 or number 4, sorry. And he hasn't really. Like they put him in at 6 today. He got a 8 off 7. Couldn't really hit it off the square, and I'm just a little bit confused because I think you can have one player like that, a David Milan, who is your get out of jail card. If he's a brilliant player, especially in the power play. So if we lose a wicket early, get Milan in and he'll steady the ship and play some beautiful shots. But what does Stokes bring? And I think that's just a question, a rhetorical question, but it's a question for the England camp just to figure out.
I think the honest answer is they don't know.
Yeah.
I think that's the issue. Like Stokes, he's a player that England are like, he has to play because he's one of the best players in the world. And we have to fit him in the team. We're not quite sure where. Like opening the bat, like he's always been opening the bowling with the new ball as well. So yeah, I think at the minute he's a bowler who bats at 4. But he's not found that batting role, I think. But yeah, it is. It's good. Dear Josh Butler, dear Matthew Mott, what is Ben Stokes' role? That's our cricket nerds question to you.
Because I genuinely think like he will just do so much better if he has a defined role. But at the moment, he doesn't really, and that was the problem before. And I thought they'd solved it by saying you're in at 4, Stokesy, but it just didn't seem like they have.
Yeah.
Going on to the bowling really quickly for New Zealand. It was obviously a bad day out for the seamers. All of them going above 10 and over. Lockie Ferguson was pretty good though, because he did get a couple of big wickets of Livingston and Stokes. But Mitchell Santner and Ish Sodhi both of them very economical, taking a wicket apiece. Do you think New Zealand used them correctly? Because they bowled very early on in the piece. I think it was straight on for the power play. It was just 8 overs of spin. Do you think that
Actually,
was the right call?
I think they brought on Mitch Santner bowled the fourth over. The fourth, the sixth, and then Sodhi came on, and then they bowled out the rest of their overs straight after the power play. Now, I like that with Mitch Santner, because I think he is great. I think when he plays for Chennai, I love him bowling in the power play, because I think him, similar to Moeen, he's got that ability just to control the run rate and really put pressure. Like, he bowled the fourth over and it went for 4 runs. Like, and one of them was a leg by. Like, it's just
it looked like a dangerous bowler as well.
Yeah, and he is. Ish Sodhi, as you say, was just bowled all the way clean through. And like, I think in T20, I don't think you can get away with doing that, because batsmen are so quality that they can pick up the pace of the ball. And if you're bowling, I mean, I'm just looking at their stats quickly. They bowled over 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 of spin. So they bowled 4 overs on the bounce of spin before they brought Lockie Ferguson back on. And then they even then bowled Ish out after that. I think that you need to keep changing it up. And I think if you look at how England structured their innings, Josh Buttler put on a captaincy masterclass today. And we'll talk about that in a bit. But I'm not a fan of just playing and just bowling your spinners all the way through, especially at this level of the game. At international, at franchise, at any other level, you can get away with it. But I think at international level, players just pick up the pace of it. And you have to constantly be changing it up. And I think actually New Zealand are underutilizing their 6th bowler and their 6th bowling option in Jimmy Neesham, because they do have that option there, and he does just give that change of pace, a bit like Colin de Grandon.
Yeah, well, they've also got Daryl Mitchell.
Yeah,
with some some of that medium pace that is very reminiscent of de Grandon. And also, I was kind of thinking that I feel like Kane Williamson's bowling has been underutilized.
Yeah,
I miss his off spin, but that's just by the by, really. Now, one quick thing that we should touch on before we move on to New Zealand's batting innings is just New Zealand's fielding in general, because Butler was put down, was it twice? One was by Williamson, and that was a very difficult chance. And obviously, like, he landed hard. He thought he'd caught it. Turns out he hadn't. And then there was that chance to Daryl Mitchell, which was a pull shot off Ferguson's bowling, I think. And that really should have been taken. It was a difficult chance in terms of it was curving, but at this level, you expect that to be taken. So I think that's kind of that was one of the big turning points, was not capitalizing on those chances, because Butler is not somebody you want to give a second life to, let alone a third. And he punished it with a 73, and he was unlucky to go out the way he did, because it was just a run out. I was about to say run out of the non-strikers end, but that's actually going to have a different context now. A non-man cad run out at the non-strikers end.
and it was a good run out too.
It was a good run out. Very good bit of fielding there. So we'll move on, because I want to talk a bit about just New Zealand. I was pretty scared at the start because I thought Finn Allen looked very exciting. But what did you think of England's bowlers? Because first up, they did the business, didn't they?
They did. It was, honestly, the New Zealand batting innings was just like a roller coaster for me. Like, it was up, down, up, down, up, down. When Finn Allen got dropped in, I think, the 4th over, I was like, oh no, this could be really costly here. Fortunately, he got out in the next over. And that was just something that alleviated a bit of the stress there for England. But I think the key wicket, what for me, was Devon Conway. I think at the start, Chris Wokes. And I'll speak more about Chris Wokes later because some of Chris Wokes' bowling today, the Daryl Mitchell wicket, I enjoyed that a lot. But I just think the whole innings for me, the whole of the New Zealand innings went up and down so much. Like there were so many ebbs and flows. Like it was New Zealand got off to like a slow start, and then Finn Allen fought back, and then he got out, and then Kane Williamson and Glenn Phillips were rebuilding, and they just weren't getting out. And then when
Moeen dropped that absolute
Glenn
sitter.
Phillips, I mean, we put a message on the group chat and I said, oh no, that could cost us the game. James replied, I think it was just fuming. I think was his words.
I was unhappy at that time. And he looked like he just went into it so casually. Like, he was going to, because you remember a few games ago, he took a really difficult catch over his shoulder and he just took it so casually, nonchalant, easy, as you like. And that was very cool. And I gave Moeen props for that. But if you're going to go in easy, you got to make sure you make the catch. And seeing him put that down was painful. Glenn Phillips is outstanding at the moment.
He's in such good form. At 10:48 this morning, GMT, James texted, Moeen's drop has lost us the game. And we all thought that at the time.
Yeah.
And then Zach replied, I don't think England want to qualify. And actually, at that point, it looked like England didn't want to qualify. And it was the last 5 overs for me that it really swung back in England's favour. And the turning point was the wicket of Kane Williamson. Ben Stokes getting Kane Williamson and getting that breakthrough. And I think for me, that swung the game. And at that point, I breathed a sigh of relief. Now, what I think we're seeing is England death bowling well.
Yeah.
and it's a shock. And I think, and I want your comment on this. Have we found Chris Jordan's place in the squad?
Oh, as the specialist fielder. Tell you what, he was a good fielder. He didn't put anything down, which is what you love to see. Potentially. I think that's going to be his best place in this squad at the moment. I was very impressed with the death bowling. I think Curran is just outstanding.
Yeah.
Some reason he's just really difficult to pick, and he's nailing those Yorkers. Very, very skilled. I personally thought the breakthrough came just a little bit later than the Kane Williamson over, because his 40 off 40 was not that impactful. Whereas Jimmy Neesham, I'm scared of him whenever he's playing against England. He just somehow always turns up. But Mark Wood just absolutely wheels yet again. That breakthrough was huge. And I enjoyed the vibes from the England team. You touched on it earlier, Josh Butler's captaincy.
Yeah.
And I thought it was brilliant, actually. I thought he used the right balance of sort of his gut feelings and matchups and things like that. Because Moeen Ali, for example, he only bowled 1 over and he only went for 4 runs. Now, if I was a captain, I'd be like, Moeen, you're back on again, mate. Carry on. But I think it was potentially quite a clever move because it was just to Devon Conway. Conway couldn't get him away. And when Conway was out, Butler was like, right, okay, that's all we need to do. No more Moeen. Plans changed.
Yeah.
And I think that was the right idea because, Finn Allen and Kane Williamson could potentially have put Moeen away a bit easier, depending on those matchups. So I think brain was used well, and it's something you'd like to see.
Yeah, for sure.
Should we move on to some Cricket Nerds questions?
We should move on to Cricket Nerds questions. Unless you want to talk about Afghanistan versus Sri Lanka.
Oh, go on then. Tempt me.
Afghanistan versus Sri Lanka. Now, this game ended up not being as close as it looked, but it could have been. It could have been. Do you want to quickly summarize it for us, James?
Yeah, so really quickly, Afghanistan bat first, which is what they prefer to do. They put some runs on the board. It was kind of a middling performance from everybody, just kind of 20s from the top four. They end up putting on 144 for 8, which, with their bowlers on some days, they might be able to defend. Standout bowler there has to be Hasaranga,
Again.
who 3 wickets, didn't go for a single boundary, only 13 runs conceded off his 4. The guy is built different, and it was very good to see from a Sri Lankan point of view. A bit scary to see from an English point of view, but that is what it is. And then Sri Lanka's innings wasn't without its troubles. I thought, obviously, the spin twins of Rashid Khan and Mujib bowled very well.
Yeah.
But really, the story of it was Janandaya De Silva with his 66 off 42, just guiding Sri Lanka home with aplomb. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I echo everything that you've said. I think Hasaranga is in scarily good form. I think he must be the highest wicket taker in the tournament now, surely. The fact that he's taken like at least 3 wickets pretty much every game now. I'm going to be fact checked here. I can tell that's happening in the background. But Hasaranga is just in some incredible form, and it's exactly the type of form that I can see him taking like 4 for 20 against England and absolutely destroying us later on down the line. Along with
just letting you know, you're absolutely right by quite a distance. It's Hasaranga. Obviously, he's played 7 matches, so
that was it. Good feel because obviously you played the group stages and the Super
he played the group stages, but
yeah.
Just saying, Sam Curran and Blessing Muzarabani. Well, Sam Curran though, from 3 matches, 9 wickets. Ooh.
I mean, the 5 for helps.
Because he took that 5 for it does help.
But anyway, Hasaranga in such good form, and it's scary for England, considering that England had such a tight game against Afghanistan too, when Sri Lanka sort of trotted home quite easily. Yeah, it is scary, and I think that if England aren't careful and do rest on the laurels, we could end up going out. I think
Chris Silverwood's revenge.
Exactly. Again, Sri Lanka we have to go into that game as a must-win, even though it technically isn't. We have to treat it like a must-win. I think
pretty
that's
much
the bottom line for England.
Pretty much is.
Right. Okay. Let's do some cricket news questions.
Absolutely. So PD has sorted us out once again. Yep. First question we've got. Do you think South Africa will choke again towards the finishing end? So far, the team has displayed a better fast bowling unit and a healthy batting lineup. Benj, simple yes or no, really. Do you think South Africa will choke?
No. I think they've been through a rebuild period, and I think they're looking strong, and I think they're a serious contender for the tournament. James?
I'm going to echo that. However, I don't think South Africa are going to win the overall World Cup, but I think they are a very serious contender.
No, I think they're going to lose in the first semi-final. That's my gut feeling. They'll lose in the semi-final, but yeah, who knows? I'm going to say this now. They're going to go into winning, aren't they?
Probably, yeah. Second cricket nerds question. What is your take on strategical losses to knock out competitors? Within the spirit of the game, every team should aim for a win, and it's a disgrace if teams lose purposely to eliminate unfavorable competitions. Could you consider these sort of tactical moves as a form of low-level cheating?
Yeah, I think it's high-level cheating.
It's just cheating. That's match fixing. It's not okay. No one's going to do it really. So I think that might be alluding to the whole India somehow contriving a loss to South Africa.
Yeah.
To
Pakistan can't get through.
To end Pakistan's hopes. But yeah, India wanted to win that. They want to be secure. They want to win. So
I think
Yeah.
every team is playing to win every single game, and I think every team should play to win every single game. As you've said, it's match fixing. The only time that it's acceptable would have been in the World Cup last year when England had qualified, and had they lost against, I think it was Sri Lanka, it would have knocked out the Aussies. And if Stuart Broad was still captain, he would
That's
have
the only
got
time it's okay.
he would have got to the correct run rate and then told all the batsmen to kick their stumps over. And if it eliminates the Aussies from a tournament, I'm okay. Obviously, I'm joking. Don't put that. Don't clip it. I'm obviously joking. No, never match fix. It's evil. It's abominable. James, last thing before we finish the video. Shall we predict tomorrow's games?
Absolutely, we should.
Netherlands, Zimbabwe, Bangladesh, India.
Oh, I think Bangladesh India is going to be an absolute banger. So Netherlands Zimbabwe, I'm going for Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
I think they've just been better. People like Sikandar Raza, Blessing Muzarabani.
Yeah.
Just they've been in great form, and Netherlands have not. So my money's on Zimbabwe, and then Bangladesh India. My money is definitely on India, but I think it could be a spicy one.
I spoke to someone at work today who was extremely worried about that game. In the same way that I was worried about Sri Lanka versus England, he was worried about Bangladesh versus India. And for that reason, I want to go for the upset. I think Bangladesh win. Bangladesh win. And I think if Bangladesh win, if I'm right,
qualify?
I think if Bangladesh
they get
win,
close.
I think if Bangladesh win, they qualify if India don't beat the Netherlands.
Right. Okay. Well, yeah. There we go. Thank you so much for watching. Leave your Cricket Nerds questions down below. Let us know who you think is going to win in our in tomorrow's games. You can subscribe. You can subscribe, and you should subscribe. You can also listen to our podcasts on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, all of them. Check out our social medias. They're down in the description below. Other than that, I don't think there's much else to say. So thank you so much for the support, and goodbye.